this is my king. But Barabbas, or the son of the father, Barabbas, was fighting in resurrection, part of revolutionaries, probably was a zealot, or he may have been a Sakari. So these two men that was in the middle, that was on the right and the left of Yahawashi, Yahawashi was in the middle. These two men were revolutionaries. Okay, they were revolutionaries fighting against the Romans. Okay, now where we at?
33.
Right, go ahead.
Verse 33. But when they came to Yahawashi,
I'm trying to move on with the class.
Okay.
Yes.
But when they came to Yahawashi and saw that he was dead already, they brake not his legs.
Okay, so Yahawashi was already gone, was already dead. So they didn't have to break his legs. You see that? So that's the prophecy being fulfilled from Exodus, that the Passover lamb, you shouldn't break a bone, but Yahawashi was the lamb, and his legs wasn't broken. Okay, he was a fulfillment of that. You understand? Because we're going to get more scriptures that even John the Baptist say, behold, the Lamb of the Most High. Okay, that was Yahawashi's part to play. Okay, but this time when he come back to this earth, the part that he's going to play is that revolutionary. Okay, he's going to play the revolutionary part, the deliverance of his people. When you read in the scriptures in the book of Isaiah, the 63rd chapter, that's going to be another class. When the scriptures say, who is this that coming from Edom? Garments like he been treading the wine press, right? So the watchman is watching all this. Because when you read in the previous chapters in Isaiah, it's a watchman that's watching. He's on the tower. He's watching the gates. He's watching this city, right? So now the watchman first question is what? When you read in Isaiah the 63rd, who is this that cometh from Edom? And then the person coming from Edom replies, I am Yahawashi, mighty to save. So as he get close to that gate, he's right at the gate. Okay, this is Yahawashi. The first question, who is this guy? He announced himself. And then the second question is, man, what's all that blood doing on your clothes? That's that second question. Why are you so bloody? Where you coming from? Scripture say, coming from Edom. So those are the two questions. You the watchman, those are two questions that you have to ask. Who is this? And why are you so bloody? Got on them, yo, man, what's all the blood on your clothes? What you been doing? I've been treading the wine press. And then he's coming from what? Bozrah, around Edom. That's south of Jerusalem. So Yahawashi is coming from the south. He's going up to the north. Then the scriptures say that he's going to stand on the Mount of Olives. Okay, so now Yahawashi is in process. He's in progress now. Coming from Edom, Jerusalem, and then it's going to attack all those armies that's going to try to attack him. Okay, all the nations that's gathered together, but that's another class. Okay, so we finished John, the 19th chapter, 31, 33. Now let's go to John, the first chapter, verse 29.
Read out of John, chapter 1, verse 29.
Come on.
The next day, John seeth Yahawashi coming unto him, and said, behold, the Lamb of Yahweh.
See what John said? Behold, the Lamb of the Most High. Continue to read.
Which taketh away the sin of the world.
Okay, that's where it's at. See, everything falls into pieces. All the scriptures about the Passover lamb in the Old Testament, and it falls in place with the Lamb of the New Testament. Okay, read the 36th verse.
Verse 36.
Let's see that John change anything.
Verse 36. And looking upon Yahawashi as he walked, he said, behold, the Lamb of the Most High.
He said it again. Let's go to 1 Peter, the first chapter. We're going to tie everything in concerning this Passover that we are about to partake in, and all the Israelites. Okay, it's the same meaning, the same thing. Okay, it means the same. Yahawashi is that Passover. Yahawashi was that lamb. Okay, the same thing. Nothing changed from any school. It's the same thing. It means the same. Okay, let's go to 1 Peter.
Chapter 1.
Chapter 1, verse 19 and 20.
Read out of 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 19. But with the precious blood of Hamashiach, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot, who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in these last times for you.
So everything was already destinated, predestinated. Okay, your life, Yahawashi's position, everything was already set from the beginning. And read that 19th verse again.
1 Peter chapter 1, verse 19. But with the precious blood of Hamashiach, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot.
So Yahawashi without blemish and without spot. The Passover lamb should be with what? Without blemish and without spot. Okay, let's go to the book of John 19 and 4. Book of St. John, 19th chapter and the 4th verse.
Read out the book of John, chapter 19, verse 4. Pilate therefore went forth again and said unto them, Behold, I bring him forth to you, that ye may know that I find no fault in him.
Okay, so Pilate confirmed what we just read in Peter. Precious lamb, unblemished. So Pilate brought Yahawashi before the people. Said, look, I'm bringing him to you. I find no fault in the man. The man have no blemish. There's no faults in the man. So that's prophecy fulfilled too. You see that? On all levels, both levels. Old Testament, New Testament, prophecy fulfilled. Yahawashi fulfilled all that, man. Okay. Let's go to the book of Matthew, the 23rd chapter. And read from the 1st to the 4th verse.
Read out the book of Matthew, chapter 23, verse 1.
Come on.
Then spoke Yahawashi to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, The scribe and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do, but do not ye after their works. For they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers.
Mm-hmm. See, so when Yahawashi came on the scene, right, he had to deal with a lot of things that was taken up from the Babylonian Empire, because Israel was dealing with Hellenism at that time. Remember from the Maccabee period when the Greeks came in, they Hellenized, and Israel was under that Hellenization, that heavy influence. So for the Pharisees and the leaders, they had to put a balance to this thing. They had to fight against it. So what they started getting into the legalistic. They started adding like certain laws, certain regulations, like the oral law, washing this, doing that. So that's what Yahawashi was attacking when he came on the scene. But the Pharisees thought maybe they was doing like a good thing. We trying to balance this Hellenization, but they was overstepping and overpowering the Most High's laws. See, they was reconstructing, rewriting and adding things. Like Yahawashi said, they was adding things to the law that really shouldn't been there, and putting burdens up on the people. See, so that's what Yahawashi was doing when he was getting at them. You vipers, you hypocrites, you generations of vipers, and he was scorpion. You know, he was getting at them because they was adding all these legalistic oral laws that didn't really attain to the Most High's law. So he was checking them, but the leaders thought that, well, this is what we got to do, because to fight against this Hellenization, you know, we got to add this, we got to add that, we got to add this. But that's not what Yahawashi, when he came to the scene, he reiterated the Most High's laws, because Yahawashi said, what I came to fulfill. Now, from reading our history and from reading the history of Antiochus Epiphanes the Greek, from reading the history of the Herod the Great, from reading Israel's history, if you want to produce a good movie with scandalous, sex, treacherous, money, war, all the dirt, you can read in some of these scriptures, man.
That's right. That's right.
and produce a good movie.
That's right.
Because you read about these kings of the northern kingdom, they was assassinating one another. There wasn't much of a lineage that was sitting on the northern kingdom thrones. You know, you had one king may sit on the throne, his son, and then his general, his captain, may assassinate him, and he may sit and rule for 2 days. He's assassinated. So the genealogy kept changing. But it wasn't like that with the southern kingdom. All the kings that sit on the southern kingdom throne were what? They was from the tribe of Judah, from the root and the seed of David. See, that's the difference. See, that's the difference. Because when the Assyrians took down the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom was still in operation. And as far as my reading, I don't think that the Assyrians ever came into Jerusalem. Now they tried. I believe that was the Assyrian king Sennacherib. Tried to enter Jerusalem and take Jerusalem. But what happened? An angel slaughtered the whole army. And they never tried that again. But they took down the northern kingdom. But the southern kingdom, their problems was with who? Egypt and the Babylonians. Now they was in alliance with the Egyptians, and then they would flip over here and be in alliance with the Babylonians. See, but they had their prophets, Jeremiah. They had the prophets there telling them the visions and the orders of the Most High, but they didn't want to listen to that because you had a lot of young kings. Zedekiah was in his 20s. So what you going to tell a 20-some-year-old man with all that power? You know, wants to do what he want to do. Okay, but they went into captivity. Israel went into captivity. Zedekiah went along with them. You understand? So reading our history about the Passovers, there were always, well, not always, there were many wars that was taking place as we was preparing for the Passover. It's like now we got wars all around us, brothers. Right. You got certain beefs in Israel, in camps, and we having Passover. You know, we got Passover on different days and everything, man. Okay, so it was always battles during that great day, the Most High's Passover. Okay, you had civil war between the Maccabees. There was civil war between Aristobulus II and John Hyrcanus II. And the war got so bad that a Roman general had to be called in to deal with that situation. This was a Roman general by the name of Pompey. And this happened, I believe, in 63 BC, 63, 65 BC. Do anybody have From Babylon to Timbuktu? Pull that out. Go to page, you got it with you? Well, you ain't got your tools, brother. Go to page 80, try 84. page 84. Babylon to Timbuktu by Rudolph Windsor. You got 84? Okay, read right in the middle when it speaks about
BC.
right.
It's from Babylon.
Come a little louder, yeah.
It's Babylon to Timbuktu, page 84, second paragraph.
Okay.
In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state.
So it's giving you two different time periods. It's giving you the time period that I was just talking about in 63 BC with Pompey, okay, that came into Jerusalem and took that. Now, who was controlling Jerusalem at that time? The Maccabees. So Pompey came in because these two brothers, Aristobulus II and John Hyrcanus II, was at war. So Pompey was called in and destroyed our people because of these two brothers. And then it gives you 70 AD with Vespasian, but his son Titus took down Jerusalem in 70 AD. And one of his top generals was an Israelite by the name of Alexander. I know his name was Alexander. I can't really get his last name, but his name was Alexander. He was an Israelite. There was Titus' top general, and he laid the blueprint and everything down for Alexander. Well, that's our people, brother. Y'all sit there like y'all can't believe it, you know. But that happens all the time. Look what happened to the Black Panthers. You had a Jake in that. Look what happened with the organizations today. You know, would set you up, work for the FBI and everything, man, and bring you down. So that was always there. Okay, and I'm gonna still try to get this brother's name. His Alexander, he was from out of Judah too, so-called Judah. I believe he was the nephew, or he was related to Philo. But I'm gonna keep thinking and get that name for you, and I want y'all to look that up and go read the history about this guy. Okay. Now, you finished reading that, right? Yahawashi? Read. Did you get to where the slave market was full of black Jewish slaves? You got that?
No.
Okay, read that.
It's continuing from the second paragraph. During the period of military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period of Pompey and Julius, it was estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves.
Black Jewish slaves. See, that was the main page, and there was that one of the main books way back in the days. You know, when we hit the streets, we always went to that. You know, black Jewish slaves. Always went to that page, that book. And speaking about Pompey, the Roman general, when he came into Jerusalem, because of these Levites, the Maccabees fighting one another, you got Pompey, you got Crassus, these are Romans, you got Julius Caesar. They form what was called the first triumvirate around 60 BC. Now that meant that there was three men. These three men, they all held power. They had an alliance, a military political alliance. There was Pompey, Julius Caesar, and Crassus. Okay? Now, we're going to move on. Remember, in the Babylonian captivity in 586 BC, Israel was without a temple. We couldn't sacrifice. And from there, Passover began like a transformation. Even the practice, some of those practices are still carried out today. So should we keep the Passover feast, or can we keep the Passover feast outside of Jerusalem?
Come.
Some of us as Israelites don't think so. So could the Passover be held outside of Jerusalem?
Come.
Okay. Huh? I mean, we have no temple there, no sacrifice. Remember when the masses of people was going up to Jerusalem for the feast days and for the Passover, they was going there what for the sacrifice, because you had the temple and you had the priest there. Now you go there, there's no temple and there's no Levites. See what I'm saying? So you can keep the feast days and Passovers outside of Jerusalem, and I'm gonna get you some scriptures and show. Okay, but from the Babylonian captivity, from the being Hellenized, Israel, the leaders, they adopted a lot of paganistics and incorporated it with our feast days, including the Passover. Now, the presence of the egg was a part of the Passover. It was added through the influence of the cult of fertility. But Israel adopted that egg, but Israel looked at it as the egg represented the sacrifice that we can no longer do. And this is still being practiced today. And check this out. I also myself practice it. Israelites practiced it when Ben was with me. I woke him up on that one. Yeah, Ben was with when we first came into this word back in the 80s. When Passover came, the egg was there. And a lot of brothers may see this show that was back there. They know that it's true. And we used to sit down and have buckets of boiled eggs, man. Brothers sit down peeling the eggs, some eating the eggs. Yeah, brother. You know, and you put it on the plate for the Passover, the Passach. But later on, I believe when Masha established the house of David, the egg was taken away. You understand? The brothers started studying and say, hey, man, it's a Babylonian custom. We don't supposed to be doing that. But I was there. Big old buckets of eggs, brother, just sitting down. Yeah, shalom, brother. You know, peeling the eggs, taking a little bite, you know. And also, when Masha established the house of David, brothers began to go into the new moon. Okay, that's how that came about, because we wasn't always observing, we wasn't always aware of the new moon. We knew about it, but brothers wasn't pushing it, you know, like we doing today. Con? Okay. So a lot of transformation in the feast days and so forth was carried by the leaders and the Pharisees from the Babylon and the Hellenization. And the Pharisees began to implement a lot of changes. And I'm going to go through some of those changes. It's a change called the 4 cups of Passover. Let's go to Exodus, the 6th chapter, and Exodus, the 6th chapter, and we're going to read the 6th and the 7th verse. Book of Exodus, the 6th chapter, and the 6th and the 7th verse.
Reading out the book of Exodus, chapter 6, verse 7.
And let me say this too. We're going to go into the 4 cups. This is a tradition, is a custom. We don't practice that. Okay? We don't practice it. Now we would take a cup of wine, a cup of yayan, but not in tradition as what the Pharisees and the Babylonians and so forth had introduced. Okay, this is called the 4 cups of Passover. It's 4 cups of wine. Now let's read the 6th verse.
Read out of Exodus chapter 6, verse 6. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am the Adonai, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm,
Right.
and with great judgments.
Come on.
And I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you a power, and ye shall know that I am the Most High Power Yahweh, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians.
Okay, now we're going to start back up to the 6th verse, and we're going to break down these 4 cups. Okay, now we don't practice this, but I'm just sharing some information with you. The scripture, Exodus 6th chapter and the 6th verse, it said, "Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptian." So 1 cup, I will bring you out, is 1 cup of wine. Okay, take it down. Now, the next one is, "And I will rid you out of your bondage." Pour me another cup, brother. That's another cup. "I will rid you out of your bondage." That's another one. Now, "And I will redeem you with a stretched out arm and with great judgment." That's a 3rd cup. Give me another. Yeah, take that down. Now, the 4th cup in the 7th verse, "And I would take you to me for a people, and I would be to you a God. And ye shall know that I am the Lord your God, your Most High, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptian." It said, "I would take you to me for a people." That's the 4th cup. I would take you out from the people and bring you to me. That's the 4th cup. Take that down. And about time you try to read the rest of them scriptures, that Yayana got in your bloodstream.
For sure.
Start circulating around.
sure.
And then you Kwame Yashala, you got the little your dizziness. Because it done got in your bloodstream now. So, but we don't do that, man. 4 cups. That's a tradition. Just like the egg. A tradition. Okay? A tradition, brother. So we was doing that back in the 80s. In the early 90s. And, brothers sit down and started going into the scriptures, going into the history. So brothers stopped doing that. Got rid of the egg. And then brothers implemented the new moon and so forth, because we wasn't doing that either. And also you have the steward program. The steward program was implemented because steward, become a steward of the Most High. So brothers took that and said, okay, this is steward program, but it was the trooper program. Okay, but it was changed to the steward program. Huh? Okay, so I thought I'd give you that. Let's go to Matthew 26. Book of Matthew, the 26th chapter, and the 26th to the 30th verse.
We got the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 26. "And as they were eating, Yahawashi took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, 'Take, eat, this is my body.' And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, 'Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remissions of sins.
29.
But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom.'"
You hear what Yahawashi said? He said, look, I'm not going to drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine, the wine, until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. So Yahawashi is telling the disciples, he's making a statement here. Okay, he's going into something now. Let's go to the book of Numbers, the 6th chapter, 1 to 4.
Reading out of the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verse 1.
Right.
And the other one spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When either man or woman shall separate themselves to a vow of a Nazarite, to separate themselves unto the other one.
So when okay, read the second verse, the third verse, rather.
Verse 3, He shall separate himself from wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar of wine or vinegar of strong drink, neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dry.
Remember when Yahawashi was on the cross? They put that wine and vinegar up to him. Yeah, and the scripture here say that he shall separate himself from wine. Remember what he told the disciples? I'm not going to drink this wine with you until I drink it with you new in my Father's kingdom. So he kind of threw that Nazarite vow out. You understand? Because he said, I'm not going to drink no more wine until I drink it with you new in the kingdom. Now remember when he resurrected, when he saw the disciples, he said, look, give me something to eat. He said, give me something to drink. He said, give me something to eat. And they brought the fish and so forth. Okay, so he just threw, just to go to numbers, that was sort of like a Nazarite vow that he threw at. Okay, any more verse? Fourth verse?
With the fourth?
Yeah, you go to the fourth, yeah.
Verse 4, All the days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the kernels even to the husk.
Right. So going up to Jerusalem or having the Passover in New York or the United States or Ghana or Africa or wherever you at. Okay, this is what the Most High say in Scripture. Let's go to John, the 4th chapter. Let's go to the 23rd and the 24th verse.
Reading out of John chapter 4, verse 23. But the hour,
read the 22nd verse.
Reading out of John chapter 4, verse 22.
Mm-hmm.
Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews.
Come on, 23.
But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. The Most High is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
Okay, so to worship the Most High has to be done in what? Spirit and in truth. Mm-hmm. And to even do these feast days, it have to be where? It have to be done spirit and in truth. Now, Yahawashi making these statements because he know Jerusalem will be destroyed in 70 AD. Mm-hmm. So the scriptures say where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I'm right there. And Yahawashi knew in 70 AD, the temple would be destroyed, and it would be a long minute before it would be rebuilt. So he's speaking about you would have to worship in spirit and in truth. Why? Because Yahawashi said, look, there's a better temple and there's a better sacrifice. No, there's a better temple, a greater temple, and a greater priest. And that's him. That's Yahawashi. It's not really we have to go up and bring the sacrifice to the temple in Jerusalem or bring the sacrifice wherever. You don't have to do that. Yahawashi is that greater and that better sacrifice. He's that better temple and he's that better high priest on the highest level. Okay, so he said you must worship in spirit and you must worship in truth because he's the better temple and priesthood in him. Okay? So when you read in Exodus, the 12th chapter and the 13th chapter, Israel, before they even got in the promised land, kept the Passover. They kept the Passover coming to Mount Sinai. I mean, before they came to Mount Sinai. And let's get some scriptures and see what Paul did about the feast days. I mean, did he always go up to Jerusalem? Did he always went to Jerusalem for the feast days? All the time?
No.
Let's go to Acts, the 20th chapter. Yarabal back there throwing stuff in the game. I do mean stuff. Go to the book of Acts, the 20th chapter, and we're going to read the 6th and the 7th verse. When you get it, call it out and read it.
Reading out of Acts, chapter 20, verse 6. And we sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread.
You hear that? He said, and we sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread. Go ahead.
And came unto them,
You know unleavened bread is Passover. Come on.
and came unto them to Troas in 5 days, where we abode 7 days. And upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul preached unto them, ready to depart on the morrow, and continued his speech until midnight.
Oh boy, this brother had some wind, man. You know, we talk about brothers in here is long-winded. Paul was long-winded, man. What he spoke, his speech was until midnight. Jump to the 16th verse.
Verse 16. For Paul had determined to sail by Ephesus, because he would not spend the time in Asia, for he hasted, if it were possible for him to be at Jerusalem the day of Pentecost.
So the scripture speaks about Philippi and Ephesus. Now, if Paul have to go to Jerusalem for these feast days, now the people that he's teaching and the people that he's connected with, would they go with him? They wasn't going with him. Everybody in Philippi wasn't loading up traveling with Paul. So what did they do? Kept it where they was at. So Paul said, I have to go. Now, if Paul could have said, look, I got to go to Jerusalem and keep these feasts. Look, y'all got to go too. Get your bags, get your horses, your mules, get everything. Let's travel, let's sail, let's get the ships. We got to go up to Jerusalem and keep this feast. But Paul said, I have to go. But I know y'all over here and over there, keep the feast. Okay? Let's go from here. Let's go to the book of Acts. We're still there, the 27th chapter. And let's read the 9th verse.
We got Acts chapter 27, verse 9. Now, when much time was spent, and when sailing was now dangerous, because the fast was now already past, Paul admonished them.
What fast is Paul talking about?
Atonement.
Day of Atonement. Where did Paul keep that? He's selling, man. He just leaving somewhere and selling. He didn't say, I got to go to Jerusalem and keep this. Okay.
I see it, sir.
Right. This is around the island of Crete.
Right.
You see that when you read up
7.
7th verse, speaks about Crete. So Paul wasn't in Jerusalem keeping this fast, and a lot of times he wasn't in Jerusalem keeping those feast days. See? You know, because of Paul's mission and the people that he was teaching, he could have told them, hey, y'all got to go to Jerusalem. You must go to Jerusalem. You have to go there for this feast day. You must go there for Pentecost. You must go there for Passover. But we know in the book of Acts, the 2nd chapter, there was a lot of people from the different countries, a lot of Israelites from different countries did go to Pentecost when you read the book of Acts, the 2nd chapter. Okay, but not all Israel went up, and they wasn't charged with that. Okay, let's go from here. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter. First Corinthians, the 5th chapter, and we're going to read the 7th and 8th verse.
We had 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. Purge out, therefore, the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump,
Right.
as ye are unleavened. But even Hamashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
Read the 9th verse.
Verse 9, I wrote unto you in an epistle, not to company with fornicators.
So the scriptures say, I wrote unto you in an epistle. Paul wrote this letter to the Corinthians, right? And from the first verse, he's saying, look, it's reported calmly. He's kind of getting on their case. But then when you read to the 8th verse, he said, therefore, let us keep the feast. And he said, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice. But he said, let's keep the Passover, right? Okay, so he wrote the letter to them. Did he add on? But you can't keep it where you at. You got to come up to Jerusalem to keep it. Paul said, let's keep the feast. Let's get all this malice. Let's get this physical stuff out the way first. Okay, before you remove the leaven out of your homes, let's get right first. And he said, therefore, let us keep the feast. Let's keep it. Keep the feast. Corinthians, keep it. Everybody got me? Okay, let's go from here. Let's go to the book of Acts, the 18th chapter. And the 20 and the 21st verse.
Now to Acts chapter 18, verse 20. When they desired him to tarry longer time with them, he consented not, but bade them farewell, saying, I must by all means keep this feast that cometh in Jerusalem.
Yeah, what Paul said that they tried to keep him there to stay a little longer, but Paul said, no, I got to keep this feast that's in Jerusalem. I got to go. Read on.
But I will return again unto you, if the Most High will. And he sailed from Ephesus.
Okay, Paul said, but I will return unto you again, if the Most High's will. So he's leaving some of the people that he's been teaching. He's leaving them, and he said, I must keep this feast in Jerusalem. What he said, y'all got to go there and keep it too. But he said, I'm coming back, Most High's will, and get with y'all later.
Underline that Most High will, because that's what we say, right. And it's give you a reason. You can see it in the book. In the book, we're not making that up. Right. Most High will. Underline that.
Right, because you don't know what your destiny is.
That's right.
You saying that, look, I know for a surety, brother, I'll be there tomorrow. You don't know. You could end up like Josiah, how we started the class off. King Josiah, like I say, a righteous king. Okay, a good brother. Brought back the worshiping of the Most High. Got rid of all the paganism that was in Israel, all the idol worship. He got rid of all that. And he was a young brother, 39 years old, when he died. And he started his reform in 619 BC. And like I said before, remember the Most High showed him that, look, the Babylonians is coming up against Jerusalem because of their wickedness. But I'm not going to let that happen in your days. This sounds like the same thing he told Solomon and he told David, right? Mm-hmm. He said, I'm going to shake this city upside down, but I'm not going to let you see it. You're not going to be there when this happens. See, sometimes, you'll have favor with the Most High, that the Most High would do that for you.
Same thing with Methuselah.
Methuselah?
He didn't let Methuselah see the flood.
Yeah, because Josiah, remember what I said earlier when the Egyptian was coming through his land? Any leader would have reacted the same way. Why is he crossing in my area? Like I said, that's what Putin was saying to Ukraine. Why are you going to join NATO and have the America in my backyard? We can't have that, so I'm coming to get you. So the Egyptians, but remember, that's the Most High's doing. Because the Egyptians, the king Pharaoh Necho, told Josiah, your God has sent me on this mission. I have business with your God. Mm-hmm. Now, if we out there in the streets teaching, Edom might come up to you, hey, let me get that mic. I have business with your God. Would you give it to him? No, most of you won't. So therefore, you got to do what Josiah should have done. Look for the Urim and the Thummim, get proof from that, or go find a prophet and get proof from that. But he didn't have time to do all that. It's just like you won't have time. They come up to you, Shalom. Can I get that mic? I want to say something to the people. No, you get out of here, you damn devil. No, but the Most High told me to ask you to give me the mic so I can say these few words to the people out there. Hey, Ben, Ben, get out of here, you devil. but just throwing it out there, man. But we're only men. And sometimes the Most High can send things to us and we have to make a decision. But the Most High did that to Josiah because he promised him that he wouldn't see Jerusalem destroyed. But I don't think Josiah wanted to die in battle either. But he was wounded in battle. He had another chariot. It was two chariots that he had. He was in one, and when he got wounded, they put him in his second chariot. And they took him back to Jerusalem. Then he died. 39 years old, young brother, man. But he was a good dude. That's what the scriptures say. Had one of the biggest and greatest Passover there was because of all the sacrifices that he did. You understand? Come on.
I had a precept.
Come on.
Isaiah chapter 57 and verse 1.
Yeah.
The righteous perish, and
Right.
no man layeth it to heart.
Mm-hmm.
And merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come.
Right. I quoted that.
Yeah. I was going to get it too.
I didn't know the water. I couldn't remember where it was, but I did quote that earlier. Yes. So that's the Most High's game plan, man. The Most High is one of the greatest chess players that's here. One of the greatest powers and the greatest chess players. Play chess with men, grown men. He playing chess with Putin, Ukraine, America, all of them, brother. World events. He's the greatest chess player. He played chess with the Egyptians. Mm-hmm. Now, Josiah did play a part because he slowed the Egyptians down. And when the Egyptians got to help the Assyrians was already defeated. Babylon had already crushed them because the Assyrian Empire was already declining. So they was on their last leg. And the Egyptians had the army going to help them fight. Now, just say if Josiah would have let him through, that would have threw the prophecy off. And the Most High is not going to allow that. See, so Josiah slowed him down. I mean, he did his job, slowed the Egyptians down. He ended up getting wounded and so forth. But the Egyptians say, your God told me to do this. If somebody can find that, let's go to somebody look for that in the book of Chronicles. Because you go to Kings, you may have to really look for it in Kings, but Chronicles is a compilation, is compiled of the kings of Judah. So you can find it easier in the book of Chronicles. Somebody look for that for me. Okay, but we're going to go to 1 Corinthians, the 16th chapter and the 8th verse. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, call it out and read it.
Read out of 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 8.
I'm going to come back to you.
But I will tarry at Ephesus until Pentecost.
See, this is still Paul traveling, making moves. I'm going to tarry at Ephesus. I'm going to stay here in Ephesus until Pentecost. Then I'm going up to Jerusalem. Okay, y'all continue here, but I'm going up to Jerusalem. Okay, read what you got, Yahawashi.
It's the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 35, and I'll start verse 20.
Okay,
After all this, when Josiah had prepared the temple, Necho, king of Egypt, came up to fight against Carchemish by Euphrates, and Josiah went out
to fight against who?
Carchemish.
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 That's what that was the name of that battle, the battle of Carchemish. Okay, go ahead.
By Euphrates, and Josiah went out against him. But he sent ambassadors to him, saying, What have I to do with thee, thou king of Judah?
Right.
I come not against thee this day, but against the house wherewith I have war.
Right,
For Yahweh commanded me to make haste.
right.
For bear thee from meddling with Yahweh, who is with thee, that he destroy thee not.
That's the Egyptian king saying that, right? He said, don't meddle in the business of your God, the Most High. And he said, so he would not destroy you, he destroy you not.
Yeah, it says, who is with me, that he destroy thee not.
And he said, the Egyptian king said, your God is with me. And Josiah, he would destroy you if you, what King Necho was going through, man, the Most High showed him. And he was right. But later on, the Most High came against Pharaoh Necho too. So the Egyptians had to be taken by the Babylonians. See, this is when the Babylonians was coming into power. See, because like I mentioned, there were three superpowers: the Assyrians, you had the Egyptians, and the Babylonians. Okay, if you read about their history, you read their history. Israel made alliance with the Egyptians at times. Then they made alliance with the Babylonians, and now the Assyrians, they had more contact with the northern kingdom because they took down the northern kingdom in they took down Samaria in 722 BC. So the time that they came up against Jerusalem, they never went in Jerusalem. Okay, they attempt, but the Most High sent one angel, and it took out what about 850,000 or something?
187.
185,000.
185,000.
Okay. Took the army out 185,000. Scripture? Y'all, what's up? You said you had a scripture?
No. I just saw him. If you already passed it, I was going to say, because he said the next verse, he didn't, and he went down to fight. You already passed it.
He said what now?
That Josiah didn't listen.
Right. Young man, 39 years old. I mean, would you listen? You wouldn't have listened.
You'd have been incensed.
Yeah.
Talk about another nation talking about what your God told him.
And the way he explaining it to him, like, like, hey, man, this really did come from the Most High. But Josiah didn't have time to go get no prophets, man. Yo, can you run and get it? No, we at war right here. Oh, go get that Urim and that Thur. Okay, where the Levites at? Go find the Levites. He didn't have time to do all that, man. The battle was right before him. Sometimes the Most High would send things to you that you have to deal with it right there. You have to make a decision right there. And then depends on the decision that you make, might cost your men, your camp, or might cost you, might cause some problems. See, so that's why you gotta set them prayers up. You gotta roll in faith. You gotta always remember trust in the Most High. Because Josiah was righteous king. But remember, he was in the Most High's plan. He was in the Most High's game plan. See, the Most High told him, you're not going to see the destruction of Jerusalem. And like I said, I don't think Josiah wanted to die either at 39 years old. Because when he died, his sons, Jehoahaz, the people put him up as the king. Then you had Jehoiakim. Then you had Jehoiakim. And when you read in some of the scriptures, when you read in Jeremiah prophecy, Jeremiah called one of the kings Shalom, and Jeconiah. So these are some of the same brothers, some of the same kings. So when Jeremiah threw a prophecy at them, you know, that was going for, I believe, Jeconiah. I think Jeconiah was Coniah, and Jehoiakim or I think Jehoahaz was Shalom. Okay, so these are the same people. When you read in the scriptures, different names for them. And remember that Jeremiah was the mouthpiece of the Most High, Jeremiah the prophet. And Jeremiah was back during when the Babylonian was coming up against Jerusalem. He was back there when the Egyptians was coming up against Jerusalem. And he was telling the kings, look, listen to the Most High. Listen, do what these kings ask you to do, man, because you got a whole nation on your back. It's sometimes you can't do what you want to do. You have to make a decision to protect the nation. You can't get all into yourself. Sometimes the decision has to be made to protect the people. And then if you check the history, a lot of the leaders did that. They humbled themselves. Okay, and a lot of the leaders and kings gave themselves up as prisoners so the people can live. See, but Josiah was into the flesh. He was thinking on the carnal level. But what the Egyptian was telling them, look, your God, look, it's going to cause you your death. Your God have told me. But how many times have Israelite leaders have heard a nation or a Gentile or a heathen say, hey, the Most High told me, you know, they probably done heard it. Hey, man, this guy's lying. Should I trust this guy's lying? Okay, let's go to the book of Deuteronomy. This would more likely be my last scripture. And then if y'all wrote any questions down, we'll go into your comments and we'll go into your questions. Deuteronomy, the 29th chapter and the 25th to the 29th verse.
We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 29, verse 25. Then men shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Most High Yahweh of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, for they went and served other powers and worshipped them, powers whom they knew not, and whom he had not given unto them. And the anger of the Most High was kindled against this land, to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this book.
Okay.
And the Most High rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land as it is this day.
Right.
The secret things belong unto the Most High our power, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law.
And that's the key, to do all the words of the law. And that's why we're confused today. That's why we're in captivity today. That's why we're going through what we're going through today, because disrespecting the Most High. If the Most High did what he did to King Josiah, brother, you know, to make things happen, to slow the Egyptians down. I mean, that's what he did. And so Josiah would not see the Babylonians come into Jerusalem and take Jerusalem, because a lot of people was going to die. A lot of people was going into captivity. Zedekiah went into captivity, got his eyes taken out. His sons was killed in front of him before his eyes was taken out. You know, women ravished and all types of things, man. The Most High didn't let Josiah see that. You know, see, I mean, that's the Most High's doing. And we just have to do the right thing. When we come out this time, we got to do the right thing, because the Most High is going to exterminate. He's going to purge out the rebels. Like I say, Yahawashi, the scripture say, who is this coming from Edom? Garments like it's been dipped in blood. And you can link that up to Revelation, the 19th chapter. Okay. You know, when it said blood, it's all over his garments, man. So it's telling you the type of atmosphere that is going to be in the near future. And Revelation, the 14th chapter said the blood is going to be up to a horse's bridle. If you would take the blood out of everybody or everything that's going to be put to death, it'll flow like a river, man. So the topic of my class was Christ, Yahawashi, is our Passover. So make preparations for the Passover. That means get your mind right, get your spirit right. And when it speaks about the leaven, not only the physical leaven, when you clean your homes and so forth, and we clean the school, but clean your body, your house. Okay, get that right for this Passover. Any mishaps, anything you need to deal with it before the Passover, before the Passover. You said you had something?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to read what you was talking about. All right, real quick, before we close, I want to get that scripture I was talking about Yahawashi. Isaiah 63.
Okay.
Will prove all things. Isaiah 63:1. Who is that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra, that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength? I that speak in the righteous, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? I have treaded the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment.
Right. Read that fourth verse.
Hold it. Put up this way.
When you close,
Yeah,
I get it.
All right, go ahead.
The fourth verse said, for the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeem is come. And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore my own arm brought salvation unto me. And you all know who the Most High's arm is. The Most High's arm is Yahawashi. Okay. The Most High been using Yahawashi from the beginning. And he's also going to use his people. And that's the whole beauty of it. Because the scriptures say vengeance is in his heart. Okay? Put that on Yahawashi. Put that on the Most High. And with that, brothers and sisters, I'm going to close the class. And some brothers had comments. They had their hands up. If you wrote something down, the questions, comments, you can add it, attach it to the class. I see you had a comment. I think earlier you had, write it down, cause if I'm moving in the midst of my movements, I might not let you present that unless you got a scripture to back up something like Yeshaya said. Hey, I got a scripture for that. Yahawashi said, I got a scripture for that. Ibrahim, I got a scripture for that. But now y'all want to ask a question. I don't know what y'all gonna ask. So I want to stay on track, with the topic of the class. So y'all can comment now. Y'all can give an input. Y'all can elaborate a little bit and add on to the class.
Continue.
He can shut it down now because nobody wants to. And I say shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Enjoy the Shabbat. And if you haven't held your Passover, the brothers and sisters that's holding your Passover, have a beautiful Passover. And I say shalom and kwam yashala.
Shalom. Shalom.
Okay, okay, Ben.
Ben. Shut it down. It's still up. It's still up. It's still up, Ben. Huh? Select it.